Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Dream Chasers Adventures in the Future. I'm your host, Adam Carswell, also known as General Moses, and today I'm joined by Cam DEARI, also known as DEARI. We'll make sure we get all the links and all that good stuff in the show notes so you can check out his music, but that is why we have him here today. We also have him here today because we are mutually connected, thankfully through the Toolroom Academy, which I know has paid dividends for us since graduation. So on that note, Cam, I'd like to just kind of dive in straight to it. On the note of Toolroom, not how did you find the Academy? We're gonna get to that, but how did you first discover the label to begin with?
So I've been going out to clubs since I was 16, and obviously you hear toolroom music being from the UK. It's not something that if you go out to clubs, you hear toolroom music and there's no arguments on it. I know Hardwell released on Toolroom, but I didn't know Toolroom through that. Basically Mark Knight released a track called Have You Heard Into My Life?
I got to go back and listen to that one. I'm sure I know it if I hear it, but
So it
oh yeah, that's
it's
the one that
ma
got you.
Yeah, it's mastered like an Oasis record, basically. So it's like all the frequencies are pushed high. So if you put that through some DJ decks, the energy level is ridiculous. But I would always play that track when me and my friends would go. We'd have parties and I'd always throw that track on. Um, and then from there, when you first start getting into music, you don't really understand labels, so you're just downloading different songs. But I think that's the first time that I looked at Mark Knight, and then you start looking into Mark Knight, and then you realize, oh, he has a label, and it's Toolroom. So it's like I never used to understand what the T's were until you put that together, and then you realize, oh, it's Toolroom.
Yeah, I'm looking at the compilation that track was released on. And that was right around the time when I first discovered the label too. I'm sure if now that I'm looking at it, I'm sure if I listen to it, I'll recognize it. Seeing some of the other tracks that were on. So this was on a compilation called "A Year in the Life," I think, or maybe this song, maybe um, what is it? You just "Into My Life." Maybe "Into My Life"
Yeah, it's
made it
like,
made it on this compilation. It could have been a single first. I don't know, but I feel like I've been a. Go
I
ahead.
think if you listen to the way it's like, I don't know if it's that style or what, but just the way that it's mastered, it sounds louder than anything else, when you throw it on.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to. I love going through the old tool room stuff because sometimes you forget just how much work the label has put in to get to where it's at.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I always tell my wife too, like sometime in the near future, we're about to have two under the age of two. So I don't know if we're gonna do this
Congrats.
immediately. Thank you, thank you. But I really want to spend some time in London, like at least for like 3 or 4 months. Because what I love about the UK, what I've observed from my one visit there and other parts of Europe, really compared to the US, is house music is a little bit more intertwined with being normal, I guess. Uh, Americans don't necessarily like you really but your average American definitely has no idea what tech house is, let alone even know that there's subgenres within house music. So to hear that tour room is like that vibe is commonly found throughout clubs in the UK, that gets me excited just hearing that. So
Yeah, so I'm from, well, a relatively small town. There's like 100,000 people, and one of the clubs that I used to go out when I was 16, Bontan and Josh Butler used to play. So it's like anywhere you are in the UK, you get house music. It's just kind
nice.
of it is wherever you go, you're going to find someone that has house music.
Love it. So all that being said, and it looks like you kind of well, you've always been aware of Tool Room. You really dove in once you heard that track, which again featuring Proc and Fitch, great duo as well. When did you first discover the Academy? What was your story on Tool Room Academy?
I think it was around the time of COVID hit, and then I think I kept seeing ads on Facebook, and then I was sort of interested, but you know what it's like. You see one ad, you click on it, you're like, oh, I don't know. You go off, and then they keep retargeting you. So I
Yeah.
was I saw it a few times, and then COVID hit, and then I obviously had a lot of time on my hands, and I thought, what can I do with my time? So I decided, I've always wanted to make music, and I would make music, but obviously if you're not being shown how to use Logic, it sounds awful. So I was making music, I was sending it to labels, but it was obviously never going to get signed. So I then decided, no, it's what I want to actually do. So then that's when I decided COVID hit, and I was like, I want to take this a bit further. So then and now it popped up, and I decided to take that next step and actually put myself forward and do the academy.
And I want to, as you use the phrase, put yourself forward. I want to applaud you, um, because I mean, as you've probably observed recently, I've been doing a lot of these interviews with fellow graduates and students of the academy, which, I mean, even this alone has opened up a bunch of doors and connections that I wasn't expecting. So, but anyways, what I want to applaud you because you're the first person that reached out to me saying, "Hey, can I come on the show?" Um, and I'm just curious, like, are you working with someone who encouraged you to do that? Like, I just admire people who are like willing to put themselves out there because I know what it's like, and I know it's not easy at first. And so you're like doing a really good job just getting comfortable on camera now. And
Thank you.
I want to know where that inspiration came from.
So I've seen your interviews on the Toolroom group on Facebook,
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to get a lot more PR, and I think the only way that you're going to get comfortable in front of camera is doing this type of thing. So I think it's a perfect opportunity. I know I added you on Facebook, followed you on Instagram, and I was like, oh look, can I come on? So I think if you have that opportunity to do something, you might as well jump on and try and do it.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And hopefully my DMs don't blow up after this interview, which I mean that would be a good thing too, right? Like I'm not at that level yet where I don't think it would really be that big of a problem. But I just love that you were a go-getter, you reached out. And one thing that I learned from I'm sure you're familiar with Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq.
Yep.
Right? So
Yeah.
he's a relative of mine. I think like technically fourth cousin or something like that. I've gotten to meet him a little bit and talk to him,
Are you as
and
tall?
he's massive. Shaq. Yeah. But one thing and I would recommend everyone to go check out his documentary on HBO. It's really well done. And one thing that he mentions in the documentary is when he was new in the NBA, someone said to him, like, the more you talk into that thing, the more money you'll make, or something along those lines. Basically
Yep.
meaning like the more comfortable in front of camera you get, it's only going to help you. And I
Yeah,
think
100%.
as DJs and producers, you look at guys like the first that come to mind are like Diplo and Dylan Francis. They're not they ain't shy on camera.
No.
Like
No.
they're pretty comfortable. And I'm not saying that's the only way to get to this level. I haven't really watched any Tiesto or like I'm just trying to think of big names, Cascade interviews or anything like that. I'm sure there's some shy DJs and producers out there, but I think what you're doing, man, and what we're doing is like a really good idea for anyone in the industry.
If you look at Fisher, he's basically blown up just off social media, and he's that personality, which is I think that's the hardest thing as well, is obviously our position. You sit, you make music, and then it's the most daunting thing in the world is actually sitting in front of the camera and recording content, coming up with the content ideas is like that's another skill in itself.
Well, the word cam and camera, like they're interchangeable now, so we're gonna get you more comfortable. But yeah, what I want to talk about is your latest record, Falling. Just listen to it as you know, again, right before we went live. I really like I like the what's the word I'm looking for? Well, the vocal is original vocal?
No, it's
Is
it's
it
a, it's a
from
sample.
yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah,
The
it's
way
off.
you did it seems original, which is what we're going for in this industry, right? So I really like the vocal,
Thank you.
the melodics as well. It has a little bit more I think variation on the spectrum of melodies, which is a
Yep.
nice change of pace because I myself am like so ingrained in the tool room way of life because why not, right? Like I'm having a good time. It's been
Works, doesn't it?
very fun for me, yeah. But it's nice to hear what other people in the academy are making outside of the label, and so I think you've added some nice variety here,
Thank
which is
you.
cool, cool to think about on my end as well. So tell us about Falling and what the experience of getting that record signed. What was that like? Because I know you mentioned trying to produce and not really having success before the
Yeah.
academy. So tell us just about the whole experience of the academy, how that helped you get signed, and all that.
You're great. So the academy is the biggest thing from the academy is you learn how to use your DAW. So Ableton Logic, I think the biggest, I mean, the course I did was like 12 weeks.
Yep.
So in 12 weeks, you know,
Which one? Which one were you in? I was in 30. Do you know?
I couldn't tell you the number, to be honest.
Oh, okay. I wonder if you're like you might have been
20,
before me then.
26, 24, I feel.
Okay.
Couldn't
Nice.
tell you. But like nobody's going to teach you to be creative. You've got to learn that yourself. I think the biggest thing someone can show you is how to actually use the tools. So like I would before the academy, I would just use samples, samples, samples. After the academy, I could show you how to use synths, how to actually like, EQ. I didn't know what compression
Mm.
was.
Hmm.
So like I didn't understand the basics of making a track. I could throw samples in and then mess with the levels, but that's not making a song. Automation, for example, I had no idea what automation was. So that I think that's the biggest thing from well, the thing that I did was the beginner course. So I know that Toolroom have courses on creativity, etc. But what I was on was the foundation course. So it's very much you finish your track, but the biggest thing that I took away from it was actually I know I can use the track. I know how to build bus. I know how to do the automation. So from there, I knew because I knew how to use Logic. It was then down to me to sit and work out actually what direction you want to go. So you can be shown how to do it, but then it all comes from yourself, doesn't it? Like
Right.
your more money. That's an idea that you've come up with.
There's an interview that I would recommend. I'm probably gonna go just watch it again because it's just a short clip. It's with Pete and Mark. I want to say on either the Academy's YouTube channel or on the Tool Room one. And Mark he's talking about how as a producer, at the end of the day, the goal is make it happen. And I
Yeah,
know that that's a it looks like that phrase is sprayed all over the academy somewhere. You've seen little squares that say "make it happen." I can see it in my mind right now, and I'm like, man, that is just so. That's what you're telling me is just kind of ringing in my head. Is like you're the creative one, you're the one with the idea. Like producers, at the end of the day, producers find a way to make it happen. Whatever
yeah,
that is for you, that's what makes it creative and special. The key
yeah,
is to make it happen. So yeah, congratulations to you on making it happen, man. We're here talking
very
about
much.
falling. What are you making happen moving here into the new year now?
So I have 4 scheduled singles going
Nice.
to the end of the year. So my first release was in October last year, and then I have 4 singles to finish the year. So
Sweet.
I think for me now, I'm just trying to learn marketing and being comfortable on the camera, as we said. I think the I know that my production skills are to the point where I can start releasing through labels. So now I've got to learn the skill of actually getting myself out there, like networking and marketing. I think they're the next steps that I need to learn because they're just as important as having good songs.
I think that's one it's one reality that anyone who I mean, just look at it this way: as a DJ, as a producer, you are a business, and
Yeah,
I've learned this through what I do during the day at raisingcapital.com. I'm even wearing my polo right now. So for everyone who want to check out what I do, go to raisingcapital.com. Who knows, you might end up on the phone with me. But there's no replacing, like some people want to outsource marketing for someone else to do it for
yeah,
them. And there's no better marketer for you and your brand than you.
Yeah,
And
100%.
sometimes it's like a cold reality that people don't want to face, or they end up figuring it out later. And it goes back to what we were talking about, like being comfortable on camera. And this would be my 2 cents to anyone who's camera shy or is trying to figure this marketing thing out. And I say that as if I've figured it out. Trust me. I mean, both of us probably have a long way to go till we're at Fisher's level, right? But and someone else who, I mean, I got to give credit where credit is due. Someone else who's crushing it with marketing is James Hype and John Summit. And so like following these types of people on Instagram, I think is really helpful because it will give you ideas. It also, just remember, you don't have to wake up tomorrow and be these guys. Like they
Oh,
most likely have teams helping them make content. So just remember that. If you're like me and Cam, one thing I love is there's this American marketing and advertising guy named Frank Kern. I've seen him speak in person before, and uh, well, anyways, on his podcast, he did an episode where somebody asked him a question. It's like, "Hey, when are you bringing back like when are you bringing the fancy videos back?" And he did a whole episode on how the videos that have performed best for him, like throughout his marketing career, are the unfiltered, like the non-fancy videos actually work better.
really?
And I would recommend for everyone who's tuned in. And again, this is not perfect, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But if you go look at my feed on Instagram, you'll see those videos work where I'm just walking and talking with my son and
Yeah.
dog. And I know you did a walk and talk video.
Yeah, with
So
my dog as well.
yeah, nice. So that if there's any nuggets, a new producer could take out of this interview, that would be my recommendation. Is just know that the fancy videos aren't always the answer. You can just do like a completely unedited, unfiltered video, and sometimes those are the ones from look up Frank Kern too. Like those are the ones that
Yeah.
perform better for him. So next question. uh what tell us about like because I know you were DJing like you were doing gigs before the academy as well.
I've never had the gig like in terms of going to a club and playing.
Okay.
But I've had decks since I was like 18, so like 10
Oh
years
wow.
now.
Okay.
So we'd have parties and like we'd all like me and my friends would take turns DJing at parties. So it was less formal than going to a club and playing. We'd all just jump on the decks and mess around more than going actually and playing to a massive audience. It'd be to like 10 people in a kitchen, which
Sure,
is
sure. Well,
a bit different.
I have heard Mark say on an interview before too that the best gigs to cut your teeth on are the ones where you have an audience of like 50, because
Yeah,
that way you know if you play a like you'll know if you play something that doesn't work. All right. If you're playing in front of a 20,000 people, you can afford to make mistakes, and no one's, the whole audience isn't just going to walk out the door on, on one bad track. So, so that's good that you're starting with like, audience of 10. Um, I'm kind of there with you, man. Like that was a big thing for me that I think I got wrong. And thankfully, as time has gone by now, I realized that I am kind of doing it the right way, the tool room way, the way recommended by Mark, which is like, look, just focus on the music.
yeah,
If you focus on the music, everything else is going to fall into place. And I think both of our stories about how we found this label in the first place. How did we find it? Because we heard a track by Mark Knight. It wasn't because we saw him playing somewhere, although that could be the case for some people. We heard his music and we're like, yo, I want more.
yeah.
So I'll never, yeah, focus on the music. I can't stress that one enough to anyone listening. Uh, and it's also helpful to know because, like, we talked about before we went live. I got two little ones right now, so going and playing at the club every weekend's it's a bit of a stretch in this
Good
moment.
question.
but but yeah, I'd love to just kind of hear your take on that too. Because I know obviously we all want to play in front of thousands of people at some point. But what are you doing to kind of just go deeper on what I'm talking about?
The biggest thing for me is I wish I'd started. So I've always sent my music to big labels. So my first release was on Perfect Havoc, who is the people who broke Joe Corey, for example. So I've
Right.
always sent my music to big labels. What I wish I'd done is actually when I finished the academy was send my music to small labels and start, because I could have started my career COVID, so like 3, 4 years ago. I could have been releasing music back then, put myself on Facebook, doing like daily, weekly posts, and I would be a lot further than I am now. So I would say to first thing for me is don't be so precious over your music. So that's something that I'm learning now is I used to make a track and then it'd sit on my hard drive for months and I wouldn't send it out. As well now it's it does my songs stack up and then I'm sending it to labels. And also the other thing is I'm trying to put myself out there on social media more as well. Because that's another thing that I think if you a lot of people who make music are quite they sit and make music because they like to reflect internally. So it's hard to actually put yourself out there for a lot of people, especially people who like sitting in front of a computer messing with drum sounds. So
Right.
yeah, the hardest thing is to put yourself out there. Whether that means that you go into local clubs or you're on social media. I would just wish I had the mindset that I had now, like back when I finished the academy.
Yeah, yeah, networking is kind of like what you're alluding to there. And I think that would be speaking of like local clubs and connections and promoters, like that's one thing I think regardless of where you're at in your production journey, you can always be cultivating those
Yeah, 100%.
relationships. It can again it can only serve you. So I mean, I don't know how you go about doing it. For me, it's like, I just moved to Toronto area. And so immediately I'm like, all right, who else from Toolroom is here in Toronto? And then we may actually, so this is we'll just go ahead and do it because I'm sure our Toronto people would be cool with it. We've created this like WhatsApp chat for Toolroom Toronto people, and now it's kind of evolved to like mainly just like an inside circle for alumni grads. So
Nice.
we'll definitely give you an invite, Cam.
Yeah, great.
And for anyone tuned in, if you want to know about the WhatsApp chat, like there's really no criteria other than like we got to know you came through Toolroom, at least for now. You can talk to Natalie Knox. She's the one who helped me make this. If Natalie wants to lay the hammer down more, then you guys can go through her. But anyways, man, I think so. Where I was going with that is now I came to a city where I didn't know anyone, but because of this Toronto network, like everyone here knows all the different venues where like we can play now.
Yeah.
And I would imagine we can replicate that where you're at, or even get your butt across the Atlantic Ocean, because I'm sure they'd like to see there's something exotic about someone from the UK coming to play over here. So um yeah. What do you think
Do
about
you
that?
you all meet up with each other?
We have. I actually just met up with we haven't done a group meetup yet. That's one thing we've been
Yep.
trying to do. But I just met up with someone here last night, actually. So that's a big component of it, is getting the actual face-to-face connection changes everything. Um, so we definitely want more of that. And it comes down to what we talked about earlier, right? You just got to make it happen.
Yeah,
Got to take
100%.
action, got to bring people together. And so now I guess I got to get approval because I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm bringing another person in here that's not from Toronto. But I think especially once they see the interview, they're gonna be like, dude, who cares? Get in here. So, last thing is, I always like to know like where, if what's your dream venue to play at, right? Like, what's the one place if you could do a gig there, where would you want to perform?
Um, Obviously like Glastonbury and Reading and Leeds playing there. I'd love to play stadium, and I'm a Liverpool fan, so Anfield would be to be able to go and like actually play. I think obviously if you headline a festival, it's the crowd, but then actually if you go and play like Wembley or Anfield, or if you go like a stadium, just has a different
Sure.
feeling to it. So I'd
Yeah.
love to go and play stadiums more than like festivals, because it's like I went saw and seen the Rolling Stones at Anfield, and it's just there's just that feeling at a stadium gig that you don't get anywhere else.
I love that because actually I don't think we've had anyone say they want to play at a stadium yet when I asked that question. So thank you for
It's a tough goal.
broadening my mind as well. I gotta agree with you. I don't get me wrong, playing at like a, Tomorrowland, or in the US Ultra Festival, like these are EDC. these are all dreams for sure. But personally, the best shows that I've ever gone to are the ones where, you know, you're going there because you want to see Deary.
Yeah,
You're going there because you want to see General Moses, not like a bunch of people, because then you just get that more like intimate connection
yeah,
with the artist
100%.
or with the crowd, depending on which way it's going. So I like that, man. I'm gonna start thinking, what stadium do I want to play at now? In
Yeah, it's a
fact,
tough one to do.
if I don't, this is you gotta do it publicly too, right? So I'm gonna say it publicly. You're helping me expand my mind, because otherwise I probably wouldn't think about it. So I'm gonna go with a stadium for me. It's probably gonna give an American answer here, but it would be it would be really cool to play at. I'm just gonna go with my hometown, Cleveland, Ohio, at Rocket Mortgage Arena right now, where the Cleveland Cavs play.
Yeah, nice.
I think that'd be pretty cool. Or Progressive Field, where the Cleveland Guardians play. It's a baseball team. So thanks, man. Thank you,
Well,
Cam.
yeah, I think our local, so Southport has a stadium which is like it's a small team, so you'd be able to get like 1,000 people in there. So I think that'd be a bit easier to fill than like 70,000 at Anfield.
Yeah, that's kind of that's the ones I was thinking of, but just because I couldn't think of a smaller one off the top of my head. But anyways, man, thank you for coming on. I know we got to wind it down here. Let everyone know, you know, what's the best place to follow you and your music.
Yeah, so I'm at DEARI Producer on everything. So just follow me at DEARI Producer.
Boom, there you go, guys. Go follow Cam, Deary, and Deary. Thank you for investing your
You.
most valuable resource with us here today, your time.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. All right. And also, you guys check out Toolroom Academy if you haven't. I know it's toolroomacademy.com. Get in the network, take your career to the next level. This is Dream Chasers. And remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level and stay dangerous.